From Joliet, Illinois, and ATI Field at Joliet Memorial Stadium. We're back at CCAC Soccer, Men's Edition. The University of St. Francis taking on Trinity International University. Welcome once again to the broadcast. My name is Terry Bonadonna. I'll be on the call today as the Saints try to pick up win number 2 in the CCAC season. Just moments ago, we saw Trinity International's women's team knock off St. Francis 2-1. That was a thriller. Came down to the final 10 minutes before Trinity got the final goal on a penalty kick. So here in Game 2 of our doubleheader, the men's team for the Saints will try to salvage the day with a big victory. Interesting matchup today between the 3-6-1 Fighting Saints and the 4-4-2 Trojans. Both teams are on the field and ready to get this game started. Trinity is in black and gold, and they are going from left to right and shooting into the south goal. St. Francis in white and gold. They're going from right to left and shooting into the north goal. And Trinity International starts off with the ball. They've got it in their possession right now on the defensive side. Let's run through the starters for the visiting Trojans of Trinity International. They've got Caleb Sherrill, Nathan Patterson, Josiah Joseph, Nathaniel Michaels in today's starting lineup with Aaron Penizek, Mario Gonzalez, Jorge Velasquez, Luke Stell, Corey Schliefer, and Sean Fenton. Their goalkeeper is Eddie Windsor. They make their way down to the offensive side of the field where it is taken away by St. Francis. Trying to get the ball back, Josiah Joseph for Trinity International sends it back to the defense, and it's taken away by the Fighting Saints, and Joshua Yemen sent ahead to Ruel Erastus Abilo. He's into the box. Erastus Abilo's got a chance to shoot and score! We're just 50 seconds into the action, and St. Francis has struck first. Ruel Erastus Abilo makes it 1-0. What a start for the Fighting Saints today. In the first minute of game action, that was the first time they touched the ball, in fact. Trinity took over on the defensive side to start things off. They got the first kick of the game, and they went backwards to the defense and held on to it for a few moments as they slowly, methodically worked their way downfield. And then St. Francis took over on the defensive side. They sent the ball downfield. Joshua Yemen passed it over to Ruel Erastus Abilo, and Erastus Abilo did the rest, just working his way down the left side, cutting it back into the box, and taking a fine shot, skidding it past Eddie Windsor to make it 1-0. The first time that the Saints touched the ball all game, they've got a goal, and it comes just 50 seconds in for Ruel Erastus Abilo. That is goal number 5 this season. Nobody else on the team has more than 2. I haven't even read off the rest of the starters yet for the Fighting Saints. I'll do that in just a moment. First, we'll see if this possession goes anywhere for Trinity as Josiah Joseph tries to chase it down, but he can't reach that ball before it goes out of bounds. Throw in for St. Francis. Fighting Saints starters today: Morgan McKenzie, Mason Messina, Leon Laskowski, Kelvin and Lovu is in there as well with Edgar Oropeza, Christian Batangelo, Joshua Yemen, Eric Vega, Brian Castillo, and of course you've already met Ruel Erastus Abilo, who scored the goal. Free kick coming up for the Trojans. They are 20 yards out from the right side of the field, and setting the ball up to take the kick is Jorge Velasquez. St. Francis's goalkeeper is the sophomore Carlos Ferrer Cotto, playing right in the center of the net. Here comes the kick, played in front of the goal and cleared away by Leon Laskowski. On the near sideline, the ball is chased out of bounds, last touched by Trinity International. The goalkeepers in today's game are Carlos Ferrer Cotto for St. Francis. Ferrer Cotto is starting for the 8th time out of 11 games this season. He's made 34 saves in his previous 7 starts, a 2.06 goals allowed average. That ball into the box, and Ferrer Cotto's there to pick it up and roll it out to the right side, and Christian Batangelo, who starts play going the other way. Carlos Ferrer Cotto is 2-4-1. That's the record of the team in the games that he's played. He has 1 shutout this season. That came in a tie game back on September 29th, just 1 week ago today. 2 games ago for the Saints. That was a 0-0 final. Ball set up for a free kick following the St. Francis foul, and the ball from midfield sent down into the box. Ferrer Cotto comes jumping up and fields it on one hop to make the stop. Just about 41 and a half minutes to play in the first half. St. Francis has the early lead. Goalkeeper for Trinity International today is Eddie Windsor. Windsor is starting for the 7th time this year. It's the 8th time that he's appeared in a game. Sophomore from Georgia has made 49 saves on the season. He's allowed just 1.75 goals per game as he picks this ball up in the box. No save there. The ball just trickled down into his hands. 3-2-2. That's the record of the team in games that he has played this year. He's got 1 shutout. Today will not be number 2. He's already allowed 1 today without yet making any saves. A perfect shot from Ruel Arastasabilo coming in from the left side to start the game off. Ball down into the corner. That's out of bounds. Throw in for the Fighting Saints, who lead 1-0 early on. We're just over 4 minutes into the game today. Ball is sent right back out of bounds, so Eric Vega will toss it in again. Vega down the sideline and stolen away immediately by number 13, Mario Gonzalez. And Gonzalez was not able to keep the ball in bounds for the Trojans. So tossed in again by Vega. Joshua Yemen battling with Gonzalez for the ball there and battling a little bit too forcefully as Yemen is called for the foul. So it's set up just shy of midfield for the Trojans as they get to take the free kick. And sent down the field by Luke Stell. Headed in the box. Controlled briefly by Nathaniel Michaelis, but cleared to the right side by the Fighting Saints defense and out of bounds for a throw-in. Aaron Penizek tosses the ball back into play. Penizek fires it right in front of the net and right to the goalkeeper, in fact. It's not often you see the goalie catch the ball on the fly off of a throw-in, but that's what happened there. Penizek rifled it right to Carlos Ferrer-Cota, who took 1 step up and made the grab to prevent any chance at a scoring threat from Trinity. The Trojans have the ball right now. Here's Jorge Velasquez. Velasquez taps it back to Sean Fenton. Fenton over to the left side. Nathaniel Michaelis. Passes to the left. A battle on the left sideline. Down to the back line. Caleb Sherrill chases it out of bounds. It was out on the sideline. Throw-in coming up here for the Fighting Saints. There's Yemen booting it downfield, deflected back the other way. Knocked out of bounds, and last touch that time by St. Francis. That was Kelvin Lovu. Here's Trinity once again in possession, defensive side. Kicked off to the right, off of Joseph. Josiah Joseph trying to control the ball with his chest, but Leon Laskowski jumps in front of him. Laskowski kicks it away, off to his right. Here's Yemen across midfield in the circle. Pass back to Laskowski, now ahead to Ruel Arastasabilo, and Gonzalez gets there first. Nice defensive play by Mario Gonzalez because Ruel Arastasabilo appeared to be in position once again to make a run on goal. He scored from a similar spot on the field early in this game. It is a throw-in for St. Francis as Eric Vega tosses into Joshua Yemen, but Gonzalez heads it right back out of bounds along the sideline. So Vega chases down the loose ball. He's going to do it again. Ball finds its mark, but it is knocked away. Well defended by Luke Stell. And Brian Castillo rose that ball back to the goalkeeper. Carlos Ferrer-Cota reverses field, going to the right side. Big kick downfield. And Lovu on the run. Gets that ball off the head, keeps it alive, and Lovu flying into the box. Knocked away, though. Great run by Kelvin Lovu there, but the defense is able to stand tall. Luke Stell made the stop. St. Francis back in possession. Ball back to the out-of-bounds line, and it rolls out of bounds. Last touched by Trinity International. That means that it is a corner kick coming up here for the Fighting Saints. Eric Vega has got it set to take the corner kick. Big bunch of players right at the top edge of the penalty box. A couple of guys in front of the net as well, but a rather interesting formation here for St. Francis as the kick is sent away, and before anything happens, a whistle. I think there was a shove from a St. Francis player trying to break out of that bunch. And a foul is called, so it's a free kick from inside the box for Trinity. Just under 36 minutes to play. We're in the first half, and St. Francis has a lead. It took them 50 seconds to get on the board in today's game. And it'll be nice for them to play from ahead for a change. It's been a little while since they've had the opportunity to do that. You look back at their last couple of games, they were down 3-0 at halftime on Wednesday against Cardinal Stritch, and then last Saturday at Trinity Christian, never got on the board at all. They did not lose that game. It was a 0-0 tie, but still didn't, of course, get a chance to play from ahead. Trying to make it a 2-goal lead here, and Lovu rolls it ahead to Yemen. Yemen is offsides. Shot was saved. A good block by Eddie Windsor to keep Yemen out of the net, but the flag had gone up well before that, so the save doesn't really matter. Good effort just the same, but Yemen was offsides. So free kick for the Trojans as they try to overcome this 1-goal deficit. Gotta like what you've seen from St. Francis today. Not only did they score first, but they've kept the pressure on ever since then. And they have had a higher share of percentage of the soccer ball than Trinity International has so far in the first half, just over 10 minutes into the game. Trinity is in possession now, but taken away very quickly by the Fighting Saints. Up at midfield, taken back by the Trojans. They're on the far side of the field, and they've got Aaron Penizek trying to push the ball downward, but taken away by the Saints and knocked out of bounds. Saints throw in. Yemen back to Batangelo. Cleared by Sean Fenton. Pushing it to the near side, looking for Josiah Joseph. Eric Vega stepped up instead, and Vega knocked it downfield and out of bounds. Headed up by Mason Messina. Over to Lovu. Far side of the field, the Saints let it go out of bounds. It was last touched by Trinity. Batangelo steps up to throw it in again, just beyond midfield here. Saints trying to move into the attacking zone. They've already got 1 goal on the board. Joshua Yemen heads it into the attacking third once again, but nobody there in white. Easy clearance for Trinity. And Luke Stell pushes it to the far side of the field. Found Caleb Sherrill, and that ball bounds all the way down into the corner. They'll let it go out of bounds. That's a goal kick. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto will get a chance to show off his leg. Wind blowing in his face here in the first half. St. Francis plays short here. There's Brian Castillo going over the middle. Ball deflected back into the box. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto comes out of the net, and it is offsides on Trinity International. Dangerous play right there as the ball was centered by Brian Castillo. He was trying to clear it, but it ended up getting deflected back in front of the net, and it set up a good chance for the Trojans. Ferrer-Cotto tried to nip it in the bud by jumping out of the net, but the ball bounced past him. Wide open net, and the Saints catch a big break as the Trojans had gone offsides. So thanks to the offsides call, no goal, though the ball did find the back of the net on the play. And St. Francis has a chance to move it down to the other side of the field again. It is returned by Trinity. Sent all the way back to the goalkeeper, and Ferrer-Cotto gives it a big kick out to midfield. I was saying a moment ago, the wind is blowing in the face of St. Francis right now as a foul is called. Pretty strong breeze is blowing right now at the backs of Trinity International. We'll see if it affects this upcoming free kick. The weather has changed significantly over the last few hours. Temperature has dropped greater than 10 degrees. It's down into the 50s now. Nearing 8 o'clock in the Central Time Zone. Obviously, by this point of the day in October, the sun has set. Lights are in full effect here at Joliet Memorial Stadium. Into the box, knocked away. Ball still loose. Joseph trying to work something out for the Trojans. He keeps it in bounds. Nice work by Josiah Joseph. He centers it. There's a shot from long range, deflected. Jorge Velasquez comes up empty, and the Saints take it the other way. A little bit of a collision at midfield. Both teams have a man hit the ground, but the ball stays loose at midfield. No call. Here's Joshua Yemen. Yemen onsides and is stopped by Eddie Windsor. Windsor makes a sliding stop, deflects the ball outside of the box. So he couldn't pick it up, but he was able to get to his feet, step up, and boot it downfield. Nice play by the goalie, Eddie Windsor. There's a foul called once again on St. Francis. Trojans look like maybe they were going to try to play it quickly, but they'll take their time. This is Penizek. Penizek just under 40 yards out from the left side of the field. See what he tries to do with this one. Penizek's kick is headed up in the air by a St. Francis defender, and it kicks out of bounds for a corner kick. 1-0, St. Francis leads 15 minutes into the game. The first corner kick of the game for Trinity International, and it's taken by Josiah Joseph. Joseph's kick is headed up into the air, back out of bounds, and last touched by the goalkeeper. Looks like we're going to get another corner kick. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto jumped in just as the attacking Trojan came in as well. The Trojan headed it. The Saint tried to poke it, and it was St. Francis's goalie who touched it last. So another corner kick for Joseph. This time it's headed in the air by Mason Messina and out of harm's way, but I think Messina got bumped in the head there as well as he heads to the ground, and play stops for a moment. Messina appears to be all right. He was hit in the head and went down. He got himself up pretty quickly, but they stopped play anyway. Russ Dozak, today's referee, Boris Vukovic and Robert Cuevas are the assistants, and he does seem like he's all right. Messina walking off towards the sideline on his own, but you don't want to mess around with any potential head injuries, so that's why the delay in the action here, even though, again, he did pull himself up without any seeming problems. He is going to take some time off here so they can evaluate him, make sure that he's able to continue. So he'll check out for the time being, and Rocco Del Real will come in. Messina escorted off the field. .29 minutes, 14 seconds on the clock, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto will put the ball back in play. Ball bounces right out of bounds, and Messina checks back in. So Rocco Del Real throws his practice jersey back on. Messina had to depart for the injury, but he said he was feeling all right, so they allowed him to go right back into the game. And there's a whistle. Corey Schliefer of Trinity International was forced to the ground. So the foul sets up a Trojan free kick. A little bit closer than the last one, and this time it's Nathaniel Michaelis who's going to take the kick. Michaelis from the right side, low line drive. It's deflected once and knocked away by Eric Vega. Good clearance by the freshman Vega. Michaelis gets it back. Michaelis dribbles into the box, passes off. There's a shot from Schliefer and a diving save by Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Good play by the sophomore keeper to maintain the shutout. It's gone on for 17 minutes so far. Still 1-0, St. Francis. They scored in the first minute of the game. Over these last few minutes, it's been Trinity taking over control of possession and developing some good offensive opportunities for themselves. Have not yet, though, been able to break through. There's a ball down the near sideline, and Eric Vega watches it go out along with Schliefer. That was Castillo, rather, watching it go out. Now Vega throws it in to Ruel Arastasabilo off of his foot and taken away by Schliefer. Here's Joseph. Josiah Joseph cuts it back to the middle of the field, trying to pass it inside the box. There's a run from Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, and he scoops it up. Jorge Velasquez was closing in on him, but the goalie had the best opportunity at that ball, and he got it there first. Ferrer-Cotto kicks it across midfield, headed by Yemen, off to Ruel Arastasabilo. Arastasabilo is hassled on the play by Stell, and Luke Stell is called for the foul. I think that's the first one today that has gone against Trinity. And it sets up a free kick for the Saints, 40 yards out and off to the left side for Eric Vega. A free kick the other day, Vega probably a little bit closer than this, but a similar spot on the field. Set up Joshua Yemen for a goal. This time he goes at it alone, sending it into the box, and Eddie Windsor steps up and makes the leaping stop. Preventative measures there from Eddie Windsor. So he decided to leave his post in the net and make sure that he caught that ball before it became trouble for him. Windsor takes it 10 yards outside of the box on his own, now nearly 20 yards outside all on his own, and now he gives it a big kick down the middle of the field. Wasn't any pressure there from the defense, so he just kept on going. Here's Joseph. Josiah Joseph shakes free of some pressure. Now a sliding defensive stop from Castillo. Nice play by Castillo as that ball is sent off towards the sideline and out of bounds. Penizek takes a big running start before firing that ball into the box. Headed up into the air and over the net. Over the crossbar, out of bounds. Goal kick for St. Francis. Penizek's got a good arm on those throw-ins. He fires them all the way in front of the net. Earlier we saw Carlos Ferrer-Cotto make a catch straight up on a throw-in. This time it goes in off the head and pops up over the net. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto kicks it along the sideline. Played by Gonzalez, and a foul called on Gonzalez. Saints put it right back into play. And the whistle blows. They have to take it back and try it again. Here's Vega stepping up against Joseph, and Vega wins that battle. Saints still in possession, and Lovu trying to force it ahead to Arastasabilo, and Kelvin and Lovu is forced to the ground. Whistle blows. Another free kick for the Fighting Saints, and from the exact same spot it was in just a few moments ago for Eric Vega. So Vega lets everybody get set. 40 yards out, left side. Same spot he was about 2 or 3 minutes ago for a free kick. That time Windsor made a stop. This time it goes in towards Windsor again, and again he jumps up over a couple of attackers for St. Francis and makes the grab. 24 minutes to play in the first half. The action came very early in this one. First minute goal for St. Francis, and ever since then, it's been back and forth. Josiah Joseph trying to even it up. Castillo knocks it away. And it is cleared deep down the sideline and out of bounds. So here's another long throw-in from Penizek. Goes in a little bit too strong over a couple of his offensive players. The ball goes loose in the box. Still a chance for Trinity as it is booted out of bounds. That was a shot from Jorge Velasquez, who came flying in on the backside of that play and just got a little bit too much of the ball, sailing it high and wide and out of anybody's reach. Goal kick coming up for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. TJ Cake takes the field for Trinity. Comes in for Caleb Sherrill. Now we're ready for the goal kick from Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Off the head of Joshua Yemen and out of bounds at midfield. Mario Gonzalez lobs it in. Leon Laskowski nearly took it away from Josiah Joseph. Good ball work from Joseph, though. Now across, and Christian Batangelo there to send it off towards the sideline again. He finds Ruel Arastas-Abilo. Arastas-Abilo working to keep it in bounds, and he does. Off to Joshua Yemen, and Yemen can't reach it. Good clearance by Nathan Patterson. And knocked out of bounds by St. Francis. Gonzalez will throw it in. And he'll probably do it again, as it is headed out of bounds by Castillo. Here comes Luke Stell to throw it in. Stell fires in front of the net. Ball is loose and cleared again by St. Francis towards the sideline. Stell tries to push it back into the box, but it is knocked away. Ball loose again, and this time it is Morgan McKenzie getting involved and pushing it off to the left. Here's Arastas-Abilo battling against Stell and losing it to the backside. Eric Vega keeps it in bounds to Arastas-Abilo. Saints not yet able to clear this one. A good attack from Trinity International. They're still in possession. Trinity, Sean Fenton passes to his right to Stell. Sliding in to stop that ball is Arastas-Abilo, but again, it's back to the Trojans. This is Josiah Joseph. Joseph forced to the ground in front of the box, no call. And finally, Carlos Ferrer-Cotto gives it a big kick downfield to get it out of the trouble zone. Out of bounds at midfield, though, a throw-in for Trinity. Headed back by Arastas-Abilo. There's Messina losing the ball to Fenton. Sean Fenton off to the left side, taken away by the defense. And here finally is a good clearance from St. Francis across midfield going the other way. Trojans take the ball, though, right back. It's Josiah Joseph. Joseph, in a sea of white, is forced off the ball, and it's knocked out of bounds by Kelvin Nlovu. Another throw-in coming up for the Trojans. 20 minutes to play in the game, or in the first half, I should say. 20 minutes to play in the first half of today's game. 1-0 Saints lead. Luke Stell will gun it back in bounds. Stell in front of the net, headed out of bounds. Looking for Corey Schliefer there. Well defended. Last touched by St. Francis, so it's a corner kick. Corner kick to be taken by Jorge Velasquez. There's Velasquez's corner kick. Goes to the back post, headed up into the air and out of bounds. The header goes awry for Trinity International. And St. Francis makes a substitution. Michael Santillo is into the game. And Carlos Ferrer-Cotto is going to get a goal kick. Yemen heads it behind him and out of bounds. Saints just can't get any forward momentum right now. Back on their heels over the last 10 minutes or so. Trinity International has kept a steady attack going, and once again, they get to push it across the midfield stripe. Headed out of bounds this time by Trinity. Nathaniel Michaelis couldn't keep it in bounds. There's Ruel Arastas-Abilo heading it off to Yemen, but I think Arastas-Abilo may have been hovering over the out-of-bounds line when he headed that ball. It was out. So another throw in for Trinity. Saints trying to push it back the other way. That's Velasquez losing it to Leskowski. Leskowski chips it downfield for Yemen. Knocked back by Patterson. Here's Michaelis. Michaelis across midfield. Looking to get it to Schliefer. Taken away, though, by Mason Messina. Messina nearly in control of it. He kind of lost it as the referee got in the way a little bit. And Trinity gets a slight break. Josiah Joseph knocked off the ball. Here's Erastus Abilo. He can't control it. Michaelis. Michaelis is tackled away from the ball by Christian Petangelo. Back and forth. Guys all over the field right now getting knocked down. Very physical play. And neither side has been able to control the ball in the last minute. Lost out of bounds again by the Saints to the Trojans. Just about 17 minutes to play in the first half. Tossed in, up into the air, out of bounds. Again, last touched by the Saints. Here's Erastus Abilo. Off to Yemen. Yemen trying to get the ball to Kelvin Nlovu, and Nlovu is tripped up. And still on the ground right now as he tries to work his way back up. It's a good-looking ball from Josh Yemen. And had Nlovu been able to hold his footing, could have been a good attack there for the Fighting Saints, but he was tripped. Foul is called. And we got a free kick here for St. Francis. Petangelo gives it to Nlovu. Gives it right back. They'll try it again. Now the kick from Petangelo, following the whistle, off the chest of Yemen. Yemen trying to keep the ball in front of him against two defenders. It's knocked away by Mario Gonzalez, rather. And the ball did go out of bounds. We got a throw in here. Erastus Abilo gets into the box, fires the shot, and it sails on him high and over the net for a goal kick. Big shot there from Ruel Erastus Abilo. Not a great angle for him, and a tough shot with defenders littering the box there. Plenty of guys in his way. That ball could have been stopped several times before it got to the net. He tried to put it high enough to get it over those heads, and he did, but the ball just kept on sailing. It was a good-looking shot, just went a little bit too high. But a good effort from Ruel Erastus Abilo, who was trying for his second goal of the game, which would have doubled the lead. Here's a ball to the back line. St. Francis lets it go. It's a corner kick. Or a goal kick, sorry. Goal kick for the Fighting Saints. 15 minutes to play in the half. Sub coming on for Trinity. It's Cortu Josiah coming on for Josiah Joseph. And Cortu Josiah does have 5 goals on the season. He's the team's leading scorer, despite typically coming in off the bench. One Josiah in for another. There are more Josiahs on this Trinity team than I've ever seen in one location in my life. Josiah Larson is the first-year head coach. That ball's knocked out of bounds by Cortu Josiah. They've got Josiah Fox on the team, along with Josiah Joseph. And then throw Cortu Josiah in there as a last name, just for good measure. Here comes Ruel Erastus Abilo. Sends it into the box, knocked away, and cleared for the moment. Messina tries to push it back the other way, but cleared again. There's Morgan McKenzie stepping up from the back line. Towards the sideline, and it's out of bounds. Throw-in coming up for St. Francis. 1-0. The Fighting Saints took the early lead, and they've held on to it ever since. Neither team has been able to score, though, in the last 31 minutes. There's a ball into the box. Yemen touches it once, but it's knocked away by Eddie Windsor. Out of bounds, another throw-in coming from the far side for the Fighting Saints. 13:20 on the clock, first half. There's a shot from long range, and couldn't get anything on that one. Yemen's attempt goes out the sideline. Gonzalez takes a few steps up along the line and throws it in behind him. This is Stell. Luke Stell to his left and Nathan Patterson down the field. Deflected by Brian Castillo. Here's Messina. Messina pushes it ahead for Erastus Abilo, who can't catch up with it. Out of bounds. Throw in for the Trojans. Messina jumps in the way again, knocks it out. Ball is tossed back in bounds and deflected by Corey Schliefer before a foul is called against St. Francis. TJ Cake will get to take the kick here. Cake just inside of 40 yards, off to the right side of the net. Cake boots it into the box, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto is there to make the catch. Easy stop for Ferrer-Cotto. And St. Francis trying to reverse it, going the other way, but they lose the ball quickly out of bounds along the far side of the field, right at midfield. Sent back in bounds by Trinity, but another kick out the sideline. We'll get another throw-in. St. Francis takes possession on the defensive end. Here's Yemen up across midfield. Yemen from the ground. Foul is called as Joshua Yemen was forced to the ground. So at midfield, a free kick for the Saints. Stepping up from the defense to take the kick here is the sophomore Morgan McKenzie. McKenzie reverses it to the left side to Mason Messina. Messina pushes ahead to Ruel Erastus Abilo. He's into the box. Deflected once by Stell. Now Ruel Erastus Abilo has the shot, and he misses it wide and out of bounds. Just missed right there. Erastus Abilo has had a very exciting game attacking from the left side. He scored the goal earlier. Just missed on that one. Of course, he had another wicked shot just a few minutes ago that sailed high. This one wide to the right, but that one didn't miss by much, this last one. Clock down to 10.5 minutes as the kick is away from Eddie Windsor. Headed back by Yemen. And going over the back, Nathan Patterson called for the foul. It's been a physical game so far. Nearly 10 total fouls been called. A pretty high number for the first half. Ball sent towards Yemen, but headed back instead by Trinity International's Mario Gonzalez. Gonzalez headed it right to his goalie, Eddie Windsor. That ball kicked deep, and it bounces into the box where Carlos Ferrer-Cotto steps up and puts it high into the air and out of bounds. Throw in for the team in black. Trinity, usually a school that is represented by the color blue, different color scheme for their men's soccer team. Black jerseys with the gold numbers. There's the throw in front of the net, headed by McKenzie. Knocked back by Trinity in front of the net. Players for both sides going at it, and it's forced out of bounds. It is St. Francis' kick here. Trinity's gotten the ball to this area a number of times, but they're just not able to finish. That ball was eventually knocked out of bounds, but it was actually a foul called against the Trojans. Getting a little too aggressive in front of the goal. Yemen heads it to Erastus Abilo. Now Laskowski, Leon Laskowski, flings it to the right side. And the ball pushed ahead to Nlovu. There's the cross. Looking for Edgar Oropeza. Couldn't hook up with him. So here are the Trojans again. Nobody on the other side of the field ready to attack there. They had been back in defensive mode. So the ball goes out of bounds for a St. Francis throw-in. Edgar Oropeza checks out for the Fighting Saints. Kevin Sanchez is in. Eight minutes to play in the half. The ball is popped down towards the corner. McKenzie tries to force it out the sideline, and he does. Nice job, as it looked like that ball was going to deflect off his chest out the back for a corner kick. Instead, he was able to get control of it with the right foot and make sure if it's going to go out of bounds, it's going to go out for a throw instead. So here's Penizek to toss the ball back in. Penizek throws it once again right to Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Second time he's been able to make a clean catch off of a throw-in. And he takes his time walking it back up the box, giving his forwards and midfielders time to get in position downfield. Punts it to midfield where it's headed back the other way. Sean Fenton put his head on the ball and knocked it out of bounds. St. Francis trying to get back in control. Not able to take that possession, but there's Laskowski turning and kicking it downfield along the middle. It's popped up into the air by Nathan Patterson. Patterson trying to find Josiah. Couldn't get it to him, but the ball kept alive by Trinity. Into the box, Stell loses it to the keeper, Corey Schliefer, rather than Luke Stell there. Stell back on the defensive line. There's Batangelo giving Calvin and Lovu a chance to run. And Lovu going in on Stell. Cuts it back towards the middle of the field. Good run. There's a pass to Yemen. Yemen's shot is wide. Out of bounds. Great run by Calvin and Lovu. He can fly when he's out in open space, and he was there. And gave a nice pass to Joshua Yemen, but Yemen's shot went wide to the right on the ground. It rolled easily out of bounds for a goal kick. Still 1-0 St. Francis. That's been the score since 44-10 showed on the clock for this first half. And it looked early on like St. Francis may have a chance at a runaway. I don't think anybody in the stadium really believed that, but anytime you score a goal in the first minute, I like to imagine that you can pull away early on. Instead, it's been a tight defensive battle, which was kind of the expectation coming in. Back and forth they go on the St. Francis defensive end, and now the Saints come out with it. Here's Yemen turning and kicking it downfield in the general direction of Enlovu. Enlovu can't reach it, though, before Stell clears. Here's Josiah losing it out of bounds. Kortu Josiah not able to play that ball cleanly. And Lovu back to Batangelo. And Batangelo was at midfield. He kicks it all the way back to the goalie, Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Headed by Yemen to the left and Enlovu. And Lovu's pass is deflected by Stell out of bounds. Under 5 minutes to play now, first half. St. Francis in offensive range. Yemen got that one with his arm, I think, or was he fouled? He's fouled, so it's a free kick for St. Francis. Here they are just outside the box, about 5 yards out to the left side. Leon Laskowski sets the ball up to take the kick. Russ Dozak, today's official, backs up the defenders before Laskowski can take the kick. And now he's ready to go. Laskowski rolls it in front of the net, trying to get it off the foot of Yemen, but it's deflected away by, I think that was Michaelis, who was able to get his foot on that ball and knock it out. So a nice play by Michaelis, forward. Went in to the defensive side just to help protect on that free kick and did his job. Forced out of bounds by Sean Fenton. Saints throw it back in. Batangelo looking to get it into Yemen, but Gonzalez knocks it out. Another throw-in coming from Batangelo. Surveys the field and now fires it into the box on one bounce. It's picked up by Eddie Windsor. Windsor rolls it out and kicks it deep down the field along the near sideline towards the corner and out of bounds. So St. Francis gets the throw as Windsor kicked it all the way from one end of the field to the other. Ended up not able to start a possession for his team as the Saints throw it back in. Goes into Yemen, but taken quickly away by Mario Gonzalez. Gonzalez sends it into the box, and that allows Ferrer Cotto to step up and make the grab. 3 minutes to go, first half. 1-0 St. Francis on Rastus Abilo's first-minute goal. Right in the midfield circle. This is Velasquez. Velasquez loses the ball to Leon Laskowski, and Laskowski takes over for the Saints. Slowing it down. He passes ahead. Can't find anybody. Deflected back in the other direction. There's Castillo stepping up from the defense to knock it downfield, but Nathan Patterson takes it back for the Trojans. Laskowski again for St. Francis. Laskowski along the sideline. Kicks it out of bounds. Last touched by the Trojans. He gets to throw it back in. Off to Yemen and cleared by Fenton. Josiah taps it ahead for Velasquez. Velasquez too far out in front of himself as McKenzie deflects it off of Velasquez out of bounds. St. Francis throw-in. Still leading by 1 goal very late now in the first half. Batangelo fires it downfield. Yemen deflects it to Erastus Abilo. He pushes off to the right side. Kevin Sanchez. Sanchez into the box. He turns and shoots. Nothing doing. Deflected the other way by the defense. 1.5 minutes to go in the first half. And there's a big kick from TJ Cake. Getting it out of harm's way. Downfield. Deflected out of bounds along the near sideline by St. Francis. Substitution for Trinity. Troy Tsai, freshman from the Philippines, is in. This, though, is Mario Gonzalez getting the kick and sending it towards the net, where Carlos Ferrer Cotto is able to make the grab. With under a minute to play in the half, Carlos Ferrer Cotto slowly walks this ball up, trying to reverse field, send it down to the north side, and get one more goal before the half. They lead by 1 so far. His kick bounces past Fenton and sent back by the Trinity players into their attacking side of the field. It's knocked out of bounds by the Saints. So now instead of St. Francis, it's Trinity International who gets one last chance to strike. Panizek takes another running start before he'll fire it downfield. Into the box and cleared by the Fighting Saints. Laskowski out to midfield, and Yemen. Just 11 seconds to play in the half. Yemen gives it a kick to Erastus Abilo, and he'll let it go as it's cleared by the defense. Down into the box. One last shot from the Trojans, and off the side of the foot of TJ Cake. And that allows Carlos Ferrer Cotto just to let the ball come to its rest and end the first half. An exciting first half. Very evenly played back and forth, but it's the Saints on top. They scored a goal in the very first minute. Ruel Erastus Abilo, 50 seconds in, made it 1-0. And now here we are, 45 minutes in, and it's still 1-0. Should be an exciting second half, and we'll have it for you in 15 minutes. Right now, I'll step aside, back with the second half in a little bit. 1-0, Saints lead. The two teams are out to start the second half here. St. Francis leads Trinity International by a 1-0 score as we get set to resume the action. Terry Bonadonna with you for another 45 minutes of soccer. Fighting Saints scored early in this one, very early, 50 seconds in. Ruel Arastasabilo scored his 5th goal of the season, and that made it 1-0 Fighting Saints, and that remained the score the rest of the way as the two teams went back and forth on possession. Trinity International outshot St. Francis in the first half, but the Fighting Saints had some good opportunities, mostly from Arastasabilo, who had not only the goal, but he had 2 other close calls on shots late in the half. So we now get underway, and Trinity sends it to the left on your screen here. They have reversed positions, of course, for the second half of play. Trinity in black now going from right to left. Trying to tie the score up. They send the ball forward, or it's knocked away by Christian Batangelo. That's Michael Santillo getting the ball out of the way for the Fighting Saints on the near side. And cleared there by Brian Castillo. Sean Fenton taps it back to the defense of Trinity International. Tries to start something from there. It's Luke Stell passing to his right, taken away by the Saints. Edgar Oropeza. Oropeza down the sideline, looking for Calvin Lovu. It's knocked out of bounds. Fighting Saints ball here. They're going to get a chance at a corner kick. Just a minute 15 into the second half. They scored a goal in the first minute of the first half. Now here early in the second half, they're going to get a corner kick, had a chance to double their lead. Edgar Oropeza's taking the kick. Sends it high in the air to the back side of the net, headed in front, and picked up by Windsor, who sets up a goal kick. Ball was along the back side of the net, just sailed on Oropeza a little bit. The wind is still blowing towards that goal, so you put one high up into the air and the wind might help push it out of bounds. But the wind blowing at St. Francis's back now might help them a little bit in the second half as well. We'll see how it plays out. Santillo tosses it in. Oropeza. Edgar Oropeza down into the corner. There's the cross for Joshua Yemen. Ball loose in front of the net and knocked away. Cleared by, I think that was Fenton who knocked it away. It might have been Luke Stell, as it sends all the way back to Carlos Ferrercoto, and Ferrercoto pushes it across to the far sideline out of bounds near midfield for a throw-in for the Trojans. We've played 2.5 minutes in the second half. Nothing happening so far. A lot more action early in the first half, thanks to that early goal from Ruel Arastasabilo, who chases the ball down right now, but out of bounds along the back line. And it was touched last by Trinity International. Saints got a corner kick just a few moments ago, went straight out of bounds, but now they go to the opposite end, and they get another one right here. Again, it'll be Edgar Oropeza to take the kick. Oropeza's got himself set up. Saints are bunched up at the very top of the penalty box once again. Corner kicks haven't gone their way so far today. They had the one go out of bounds a few moments ago. They had one earlier in which there was a push-off and a foul called. Trying to make something happen this time. This time it's on the ground and played short, but deflected away. Saints still in possession, though, as McKenzie taps it ahead. There's an attempted cross and knocked out of bounds. We're back to this side again. Another corner kick coming for St. Francis. Edgar Oropeza took the last two. He won't take this one. It's Leon Laskowski instead. Laskowski, a low-line drive, deflected back to the edge of the box and knocked away by the defense. Trinity International stands strong against back-to-back corner kicks. They don't give up a goal, and now St. Francis will try to attack the old-fashioned way without the corner kick. Getting into the box, there's the cross. In front of the net, Erastus Abilo had a chance, but it was poked away by Fenton, and now a shot goes well wide to the left and out of bounds. The Saints have the lead in the game here, but if you look back past the midpoint of the first half, Trinity controlled the ball a little bit better than St. Francis did, and they really created some good opportunities for themselves. So it's been good to see to start the second half here that St. Francis has really been very aggressive on their attacks. They've had a few good chances early on here in the second half, despite not yet having been able to score. Santillo tries to keep that ball in bounds, can't do it. It goes out the sideline for a Trojans throw-in. So the score remains 1-0, and regardless of which team is creating better opportunities, if there are no goals attached to them, it doesn't matter so much for the Saints. They'll be happy with their one-goal lead, but they'd like to keep the pressure on and try to extend this advantage. Trinity's a team that can score a little bit, so you're not comfortable at all with one goal here as Fenton pushes it off to the right side. In fact, Trinity International is about as dead even as it comes. They've won 4 games, they've lost 4 games, they've tied 2 games. And their current goals scored this year, they've scored 21 and they've given up 21. That ball is pushed back to Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Doesn't pick it up. Instead, he just kicks it down the field to Leon Laskowski. And Laskowski pushes it ahead to Oropeza. Edgar Oropeza trying to lead the charge now. In the middle of the field, this is Joshua Yemen. Yemen turns and shoots from about 35 yards out. And he got under that ball and popped it over the net and out of bounds for a goal kick. Just under 39 minutes to play in the game. Still 1-0 St. Francis. Trojans average to score just about 2 goals per game. Saints were on that pace for a while, but their offense has slowed down lately as they've scored just 2 goals combined in their last 3 games. But the defense for the Saints has certainly picked up, starting to play a little bit more like they did a year ago when they finished 7-3 in conference. They had the hiccup in their last game against Cardinal Stritch, in which they lost 4-1, but Cardinal Stritch is putting up 4 goals on just about everybody. That ball's kicked down into the box, headed into the air, and the flag is up for Trinity International. Saints will get a free kick. The Trojans lost to Cardinal Stritch just last week, by the way, and that was a 6-1 final. And the Saints lost to Cardinal Stritch just 4-1, so I don't know if that means anything. Probably not, but St. Francis put up a little bit more of a fight than Trinity did. But most teams are getting blown out by Cardinal Stritch this year. Number 1 team in the conference, ranked number 11 in the country. Prior to that Cardinal Stritch game, St. Francis had allowed 1, 1, 1, and 0 goals in their previous 4. And so far they've got a shutout going in this one well into the second half now. Trying to extend their own lead. They've got the ball in the attacking third of the field right now. Ruel Erastus Abilo is muscled off the ball by Luke Stell, and Stell got a little bit too physical there. The whistle blows, and the Saints get the free kick. About 35 yards out, just to the left of the net, it's McKenzie who's going to take this kick. Certainly in a position where he could try to put it on the net if he'd like to. There's the whistle. See what McKenzie has in mind. Approaches the ball and sends it too far out of range and out of bounds. So he did try to score himself off the free kick, but pushed it a little bit too hard. And I'll reiterate that the wind is blowing now at St. Francis's back, so the ball is certainly traveling off their foot a little bit differently than it did in the first half. I don't know if that had an impact on that one right there. It looked like McKenzie may have just attacked it a little bit too forcefully. But it is out of bounds for a goal kick, and it's sent down to midfield on the kick by Windsor. But it goes right back in the Fighting Saints direction, down to Kelvin and Lovu down to the corner, looking for some help from Edgar Oropeza. Oropeza dribbles it out, passes back towards Nlovu in the center of the field, but cleared by the Trojans' defense. And Santillo watches that ball go out of bounds. He picks it up at midfield for the throw-in. Got a slight delay in the action first. Looks like maybe an injured Trojan. Clock stops at 35 minutes, 46 seconds, and They'll ask for the training staff to come out and have a look at the Trinity International player who's down grabbing his right knee. I haven't gotten a look yet as to who that is, but he appears to be in some pain. So we'll have a delay in the game. 1-0 St. Francis leads. 35 minutes, 46 seconds remaining. I didn't see what happened there. Again, I didn't yet get a number on who that player is, but there was a scrum as the Saints tried to score a goal just a few moments ago. A lot of action down on that side of the field. I think that's Nathan Patterson, who's now being helped up. He grabbed his right knee, didn't immediately go down, but he tried to walk it off and couldn't do it. So he dropped down to the ground, grabbing the right knee, and play was stopped. The referee signaled to stop the clock, bring the training staff out, and they are helping Patterson off the field. And he has walked off now towards the sideline, limping. He is being helped. So the knee does seem to be bothering him, but he is able to walk off the field mostly on his own strength. So hopefully he's all right as he goes up on the training table. And Nathan Patterson departs for now, and we'll see if he's able to return later in the game or not. Right now, looks like he's going to be out for a little while. So we're ready to continue, and St. Francis gets to throw it in. It's Michael Santillo tossing it over the head of Joshua Yemen and kicked back the other way by the Trojan defense. McKenzie heads it back to Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Good run on that ball from Corey Schliefer. Tried to keep the pressure on Ferrer-Cotto, but ball bounced to him before Schliefer could get there. Back on the other end, the ball rolls out the back line and out of bounds for a goal kick. So in the second half so far, and we're just about 10 minutes in now, Trinity has not been able to develop any prolonged attacks. St. Francis defense hasn't been challenged too much over the first 10 minutes of the second half after they were given all they could handle for much of the first half and were able to hold strong. Here's Carlos Ferrer-Cotto getting the pass from Christian Batangelo and booting it down across midfield. This is Erastus Abilo down by the sideline trying to keep it in bounds, and he does to Yemen. Yemen rolled ahead for Kelvin Lovu, and Lovu in the box. And it's tipped away from him. Well defended there. Saints get the ball back. Looking for the cross, headed away. Ball popped up into the air. Sean Fenton tries to head it back the other way for the Trojans, and he does, but the loose ball is chased down by Ruel Erastus Abilo. He works his way down the sideline, tripped up from behind by Michaelis. And Michaelis thought that he was the one who was pushed by Erastus Abilo. But the defender got Erastus Abilo down from behind, so it is a foul against Trinity International. But St. Francis gets another free kick from deep in the attacking third of the field. Looks like Leon Laskowski getting it set up to take the kick. Near the sideline on the far side, 30 yards out. Laskowski stumbled a little bit on the approach, but he did get it into the box. It's deflected away and out of bounds. So nothing doing on that free kick. And Trinity International gets to get the ball out of this end of the field with a goal kick. Clock at 33 minutes and some change, ticking down close to the 33-minute mark. St. Francis's one-goal lead has held up since 50 seconds into the game. Oropeza heads the ball towards the middle of the field, and Joshua Yemen trying to keep it alive for the Saints, but a whistle blows as Yemen shoves Sean Fenton to the ground. Physical game here, a whistle blowing with frequency here in the second half. We've seen 19 total fouls called now. Luke Stell is set to kick the ball down the field, just shy of midfield. Pushes it down the middle, headed back towards Ferrer-Cotto. Was not going on the net, but Carlos Ferrer-Cotto got in front of it and knocked it down, and pressured just a little bit by Troy Sy. That forces him to pick it up and move a little bit more quickly. Troy Sy was trying to force the action there with Carlos Ferrer-Cotto really taking his time. The ball goes all the way down to the other box, and it's picked up by Eddie Windsor. Now Windsor's turn to take his time, letting his teammates march down the field a little bit before giving it the big kick well across midfield and back to the defensive line where Morgan McKenzie heads it back into the circle. A battle for the ball at midfield, and it's won by St. Francis. Kelvin Lovu is the one who won that ball, but his pass intercepted and tapped back to Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, who stops it and kicks downfield. It's going back and forth, big kicks from defensive line to defensive line. That's Luke Stell. Whistle blows again. This time St. Francis will get the free kick from that area that Luke Stell had stopped the ball. Morgan McKenzie set to take the kick. Once all parties are ready to go. He kicks it down to the far side in front of the net. And another whistle. A yellow card is given. Things just getting a little out of hand down there. A lot of pushing and shoving going both ways, and we've seen a lot of fouls called over the last few minutes. And now finally, as the Saints had a free kick going down towards the box, I guess the official had seen enough. I think that was Joshua Yemen who got the yellow card given to him. 30 minutes, 51 seconds remaining. It's still 1-0 St. Francis, and it's been a very disjointed last couple of minutes. And one of the stoppages was because of an injury, so nothing you can do about that. But other than that, there's been a yellow card here. There's been a lot of stoppages just to fouls, and the clock doesn't stop on your average run-of-the-mill foul, but it does slow down the pace of the game quite a bit. And that's where we've been sitting at these last few minutes, as neither team has been able to get any rhythm going on their attacks. Going back and forth on the defensive side for St. Francis right now. And Josiah Joseph takes it for Trinity International. Joseph trips and falls to the ground. No whistle there, but Trinity International held on to possession for an extra second. Troy Sy, though, tried to pass it to the outside. There's nobody there. Went straight out of bounds for a St. Francis throw-in. Trinity International gets it back. It's Joseph passing off to Sy, and here's TJ Cake on the near side. Cake takes a shot, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto falls on top of it. TJ Cake getting aggressive from the outside. Cake is a senior from Ohio who has not scored a goal this year, but trying to put it in from long range there. As this one bounces back to Eddie Windsor, and Windsor has to leap to make the play. That kick came from the opposite end of the field. Didn't look like it was going to be too tough for Eddie Windsor, but the offense was closing in on him. The ball bounced a little bit higher than he was prepared for, so he had to jump up at the last second. Now the ball back down into St. Francis's box and popped up into the air as the whistle blows again. And there are men down for both sides. Clock stops on another injured player. It's Troy Sy, who went down for Trinity International. It is St. Francis's ball right now on that whistle, but Sy was the player who was down for longer among the guys from both teams who ended up hitting the ground after another physical play in the box. Here's St. Francis on the attack, going along the far side. And Lovu passes back to Yemen. Yemen to the outside. Erastus Abilo. He's close to the back line, trying to weave his way between a couple of defenders and finally cleared by Sean Fenton. A good long run there by Erastus Abilo, but he comes up short as the defense sends it all the way back to the St. Francis goalkeeper, Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Under 29 minutes to play. Still 1-0 St. Francis. And here's Nlovu once again. Going to the outside, he had Edgar Oropeza initially deflected. And this time his pass to Oropeza comes in behind him. It was tipped out by Trinity. Michael Santillo will toss it in. Substitute coming on for St. Francis. Kevin Sanchez enters the game. And Joshua Yemen, who's been very active in today's game but picked up that yellow card a couple of minutes ago, heads to the bench. Ball goes into Sanchez, and Sanchez, I think, was grabbed from behind there. And that causes another whistle. That foul was called against Josh Austriaco. Austriaco, sophomore midfielder, or senior midfielder, rather, came in at halftime. Here's Leon Laskowski taking the kick right in front of the net, headed wide and out of bounds. Laskowski, I think that was Kevin Sanchez who got his head on the ball and missed it wide, but a good setup, just didn't quite finish it off for the Fighting Saints. Their lead remains 1 goal as Trinity has the goal kick. Still in search of the equalizer they've been trying to find all game. Cake knocks it out of bounds. Santillo steps up close to midfield, throws it in. And Cake and Kevin Sanchez battling for that ball. Foul is called on Cake. So just on the right side of midfield this time, the Fighting Saints will get another free kick. To be taken by Morgan McKenzie. McKenzie's kick goes to the far side of the field. I think we might have had a handball there. So here's Luke Stell for the Trojans. Trying to mount an offensive attack for them. It's been a while since we've seen them get a really good opportunity at scoring the game-tying goal. Corey Schliefer tries to head it off to the right side, but a foul is called against St. Francis. Under 26 minutes to play in the game. Saints have been able to hold on to their lead for over an hour now, but still at just 1 goal, so still a tenuous lead. Kick is sent into the box and headed away by McKenzie. And now out of the box, but coming in from the backside of the play and taking a shot off the mark was Aaron Penizek. The ball was knocked downfield twice by Saints defenders, but Penizek came in from the backside and couldn't put it on target, out for the goal kick. Tyler Coy is into the game for Trinity International. First time we've seen the freshman, Tyler Coy, today. Here's a chance for St. Francis in front of the net. A shot and a diving stop. The ball is still loose. And another save by Trinity International. Kevin Sanchez so close right there after Eddie Windsor made a diving play. Sanchez came in. He had to put it above Windsor because he was still lying out in front of the net. So he had a wide open goal, but he couldn't send it in on the ground. So he had to get under the ball, and he got too far under it, soaring it over the net. A great chance right there for the Fighting Saints, and Sanchez just misses what would have been his second goal of the year. But a great save by Windsor on the initial shot to set that one up for Sanchez, who was not able to finish it off on the second attempt. Here comes Jorge Velasquez into the box. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto makes a diving play as there's a collision right in front of the net. And Carlos Ferrer-Cotto able to stop Jorge Velasquez and Josiah Joseph from tying up the score. So both teams end up with a nice play from their goalie and a just missed opportunity within the last minute or so. Here's Sean Fenton. Fenton for Trinity. Rolls it ahead to Schliefer. At midfield, a battle for the ball, and it is rolled back to Mason Messina, who clears it for St. Francis across midfield. There's Sanchez battling for the ball, and Austriaco knocks it out. Or did Sanchez knock it out? Substitution as Austriaco checks out. And Michael Lord, sophomore defender from Arizona, is into the game for the Trojans. 23 minutes to go in the game as Lord tosses it in, and it's deflected back the other way by Sanchez. Another foul called on Trinity as Mason Messina hits the ground. I think we're going to get a card here. Yellow card to Velasquez. So Joshua Yemen has a yellow card for St. Francis. And now a yellow card given to Trinity International's Jorge Velasquez. Ball sent down the field for the Fighting Saints. Into the middle, drifts past everybody to the backside, and knocked away out of bounds by Josiah Joseph. Ball is knocked back by the Fighting Saints. This is Messina coming up from the back line and passing it off to his right, Morgan McKenzie. McKenzie pushes it forward. Erastus Abilo knocks it off to the right side where it's taken away by Trinity. Sean Fenton starts to make his move, going down the other side of the field. This is Velasquez, turning it to the inside. Velasquez dribbles across midfield and poked away by Laskowski. Leon Laskowski works it ahead for Kelvin Lovu, but it's knocked out of bounds by Penizak. Back in play. There's a shot and a save by Windsor. Kelvin Lovu tried to push one in there, but Windsor was on the spot, made it an easy save. Opposite end of the field there, Trinity International trying to make a move forward, and another trip against St. Francis, so a foul called. A free kick is away, headed up into the air by Schliefer. Pushed to the near sideline. Kevin Sanchez comes back from the offensive end of the field to knock that ball out of bounds. Was deflected by Trinity. It's St. Francis ball here on the throw-in. Will be taken by Christian Batangelo. We've got a substitution here as Rocco Del Real comes on for Kelvin Lovu. Just under 21 minutes to play in the game. St. Francis trying to protect their one-goal lead. Batangelo flings it down the sideline off the chest of Sanchez and out of bounds. So now Trinity International gets to throw it in. There's a diving header from Batangelo to the middle of the field, and Mason Messina gets it across midfield. Messina once again pushes it ahead to Sanchez. Sanchez deflected by Lord. Saints still in control of the ball, looking for Ruel Erastus Abilo. Christian Batangelo instead kicks it away to the defender. St. Francis takes over again. Far side of the field. That's Rocco Del Real getting his first touch and passing it ahead for Erastus Abilo. Once again intercepted by Trinity. They work their way to the near side. Fenton over to Lord. Michael Lord rolls it off to Josiah Joseph, hugging the line but staying in bounds. And it's still in bounds as McKenzie tried to knock it away. Joseph deflected it, kept it in. And a battle for it now around the middle of the field. A collision and a foul called against Trinity's number 19, Corey Schliefer. And the Fighting Saints, with under 20 minutes on the clock, get a free kick from the defensive end. Morgan McKenzie will size it up and boot it downfield. Headed back by the Trojans. Nathaniel Michaelis pushes it downfield, back across midfield. It's taken away by the St. Francis midfield. Del Real passes to his left, intercepted by Velasquez. And now in a fight for the ball, Leon Laskowski is able to win the ball from Michaelis, and a foul is called on Michaelis in the process. Here's Laskowski, passing behind him to Mason Messina. Now near sideline, Christian Batangelo. Batangelo cuts it back towards the middle of the field, tackled from behind by Josiah Joseph, and Joseph is whistled for a foul. And it looks like Josiah Joseph is going to get a yellow card. So Josiah Joseph tackles Batangelo from behind and gets the yellow card with 18 minutes, 30 seconds showing on the clock. Fouls in this game piling up, and primarily against Trinity International, but it's been very physical. Both teams have been booked at various times during this second half. And now St. Francis has the free kick, Leon Laskowski. Laskowski goes to the reverse side into a sea of black shirts, and they're able to head it away. Michaelis out of the box. St. Francis takes back over, though. And a good defensive tackle right there from Mario Gonzalez. Gonzalez is able to take possession back for Trinity International. That's a huge play for the defender. Here's Josiah Joseph on the near sideline. Josiah Joseph blows by one defender, now another. Still working with the ball. He passes it off to Schliefer. Schliefer's kick is deflected off the face of Morgan McKenzie, and the ball loose in the middle of the field and cleared by Christian Batangelo. Here's Erastus Abilo tapping it back towards Laskowski, but taken away by Fenton. Fenton to Josiah Joseph, and Joseph hits the ground, loses the ball. Here comes Ruel Erastus Abilo, right down the middle of the field. He passes off to the left side. Sliding stop, Mario Gonzalez. Gonzalez was able to knock it away from Edgar Oropeza. Another big defensive play by him. He's had a few of them. And reinforcements coming back in offensively for Trinity. That's Kortu Josiah back on the field. Joshua Yemen coming back in for the Fighting Saints. Throw in here for the Saints. Yemen deflects it behind him where it's kicked away by Penizak. And out of bounds. Throw in for Trinity. Lobbed in just shy of midfield, headed back the other way. And the Saints are on the attack once again. Oropeza down into the corner and knocked off of his foot by Mario Gonzalez and out the back line. It's a Fighting Saints corner kick. This is the 5th corner kick of the game for St. Francis. And it'll be taken by Leon Laskowski. Far side of the field, Laskowski's got it set up. Here's the kick. Right in front of the net, Yemen heads it up into the air, over the crossbar and out of bounds. It's a goal kick for Trinity International. Trinity has done a nice job avoiding the pressure of St. Francis. There was a very near miss on the Kevin Sanchez rebound a little while ago, earlier in the second half, but other than that, they have held the Fighting Saints at bay ever since their first minute goal and have not let the Fighting Saints pull away in this one. So it remains very tight with 15:45 to play in the game. Still just a 1-goal lead for the Saints. Knocked out of bounds by Kevin Sanchez. Trinity throws it in from midfield off of Kortu Josiah's head and taken away by Morgan McKenzie. McKenzie clears it with the big kick. Off towards Yemen, but knocked away by Michael Lord. So the Saints throw it in once again. Calvin and Lovu back in the game for the Fighting Saints. The ball is off towards the sideline and knocked out once again by Trinity. Christian Batangelo will throw it in. Batangelo's pass nearly intercepted by Josiah Joseph, but Joseph succeeds only in pushing it back out the sideline. This time Batangelo goes into Yemen. Yemen forced towards the line and again knocked out of bounds, but this time Joshua Yemen was the last one to touch it. So Trinity gets to throw it in, and they'll try to move quickly down to the other side of the field. Fenton back to Lord, and now Penizak off his head gets it over to Josiah Joseph. Knocked back out of bounds by the team in black, so it's St. Francis's throw in. On the near side, towards the corner, Yemen passes it back out to Batangelo. Batangelo runs right into Josiah Joseph, and Joseph forces it out off of Batangelo. This game being played near this sideline over the last minute. Velasquez reverses to the other side of the field. And here come the Trojans working their way down the far sideline. Penizek knocks it off of the defender and out of bounds. Santillo, the last one to touch that ball before it goes out. Lobbed into the middle of the field, and Sean Fenton. Fenton looking for some help, passes back. And now they work their way forward once again. It's Michaelis. Passing to the right side, and Tyler Coy. This is Velasquez. Velasquez chips it into the box to Michaelis, and Michaelis was offsides. Sent it wide of the net and out of bounds anyway. 13:20 to play in the game. Still a 1-goal lead for the Fighting Saints, and a free kick here from inside the penalty box for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Fighting Saints are trying to win their second conference game, and their first since September 19th. In fact, it would be their first win of any kind since September 19th. They had one game postponed during that stretch, but currently on a 3-game winless streak, 2 losses and a tie, and they're now just under 13 minutes away from ending that stretch. Looks like Ruel Arastis-Abilo is going to check back into the game for St. Francis. He's the guy who scored the goal early on. Got a brief rest, and now a little offensive firepower coming back in. Christian Batangelo steps up to throw the ball in, and a mishit off the first touch from Joshua Yemen. It goes right back out of bounds along the sideline, and this time Trinity International will get to throw it in. Fired down the sideline to Josiah Joseph. He's forced off the ball and forced a little bit too physically off the ball. Free kick here for Trinity. Taken by Aaron Penizek. Penizek goes deep down the middle of the field. It bounces into the box, and another physical play there. Contact going both ways that time. Down the field at the about 28-yard mark. That's where Trinity will get their free kick now. Just barely off to the left of the net, 28 yards out. 2 players in front of the ball there. Nate Michaelis and Cortu Josiah. A big moment here as they try to tie the score. Michaelis sends it towards the net, too high and through the football goalposts. Out of bounds for a goal kick. Wasted opportunity there for Trinity International as they had the free kick from fairly close range, just couldn't make it happen. So Leon Laskowski now comes back in for the Fighting Saints with under 11 minutes to play. Saints are getting close here, still looking for their second goal to try to put the game on ice. Morgan McKenzie, the defender, who heads this ball back to the goalkeeper, and Ferrer-Cotto is able to make the grab on one hop. He gives it a big punt down to the right side of the field off the foot of Joshua Yemen. Kept alive by the Fighting Saints. Yemen again looking for the cross, but he got that one a little bit too close to the goal. And so Windsor was able to step up and make the stop himself. Some more contact down on the far side of the field. Another foul called against St. Francis. Free kick for Trinity International. Down the center of the field and headed away by Castillo. Here's Arastis-Abilo rolling it across midfield, looking for Yemen, but taken away instead by Luke Stell. Stell tries to get it to Cortu Josiah. St. Francis takes it back, though. Downfield for Yemen. Yemen on a good run. There's the cross in front of the net, knocked away. And well defended there by Michael Lord and Jorge Velazquez as they're able to force it out of bounds and allow the rest of the defense to get back before St. Francis can mount any kind of attack here. There's a big opportunity right there for the Saints and a great stop by the defense. Lost out of bounds by the Fighting Saints. And Morgan McKenzie pushes that ball all the way back to Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Ferrer-Cotto across midfield. Penizek heads it back the other direction. There's Leon Laskowski popping the ball up in the air down on the far sideline. Ruel Arastisabilo doing his best to keep it in bounds, and he does. Working against the defender. He pushes it in front of the net. A chance for a goal and a great stop by Windsor. Deflected right back out to Oropeza. His shot and another save by Windsor. Two chances there for Edgar Oropeza, but two great stops made by Eddie Windsor to keep the 1-goal deficit intact. He ends up punting it out of bounds, but the important part of the job was done there by Windsor, and the Saints will have to keep working at it as they get the throw in here. So Batangelo tosses it back in towards the sideline, kept in bounds, off to Josiah Joseph. He taps it off to Velasquez, and Velasquez kicks it down to the far side. Michael Santillo lets it go out of bounds. Now Santillo gets the throw in. Tosses into Arastisabilo. He and Michaelis get tangled up. Now Michaelis hits the ground, and a foul called as Leon Laskowski got a good piece of Michaelis there. He's a little bit shaken up and down on the ground. The clock stops. 7 minutes, 28 seconds remaining. Michaelis slow to get up, but he does get up. Good to keep going here as Trinity will get the free kick. 7:28 to play. And a yellow card is given to, I think it was Laskowski who got him. Looked like he was facing Ruel Arastisabilo when he gave that yellow card, but Laskowski was the one who got him and knocked Michaelis to the ground. So I think that card goes to Laskowski as the kick is away and into the box. Headed back the other way. Now the ball loose just outside the penalty box. Knocked downfield by St. Francis. Cleared for the moment. Trinity still battling for possession here, though. Penizek sends it forward into the box and knocked up into the air by Laskowski and down towards midfield. Saints do clear it. Out of bounds. Last touch by Josiah Joseph. Here's the throw from Batangelo down the sideline. Oropeza heads it off to Nlovu, and Nlovu can't corral it. It's Velasquez taking it away. Nlovu does a nice job rolling that ball out to Batangelo, keeping it alive. Now Yemen taps it forward into the box. Penizek loses control, but Michael Lord is there defensively, and Lord lets it roll out of bounds. Kelvin Nlovu, the last one to put his foot on that ball, so it's out for a goal kick. Trinity starting to run out of time, looking to operate a little bit more quickly. On that goal kick, Windsor planted the ball down and approached it immediately, wasting no extra time here as a foul is called on St. Francis. And again, Trinity will work quickly to send this free kick away. It's Penizek down the middle of the field, right in front of the box. Ball knocked away from Michaelis and out of bounds. Trinity down by 1 goal, but they've got possession of it right now, deep in the attacking zone. And they've got a throw in. Fired in front of the net, headed to the backside, and it sails past the net, cleared by St. Francis. Back to Penizek. Penizek's kick is deflected by Morgan McKenzie. And Kortu Josiah is called for a foul as he gets Christian Batangelo down to the ground, and Batangelo is now shaken up. He takes his time getting up, but Petangelo looks to be okay as the clock runs down to 5 minutes. Morgan McKenzie sets up the ball for the free kick, and very different methodologies for these two teams now on the free kicks. St. Francis taking their time, running as much clock as they can before giving a big kick downfield. Trinity International, every time they get one, they're operating as quickly as they possibly can and trying to set up their attack. Here's Josiah Joseph for Trinity International, slipping over the ball, but he's able to get up and regain possession. Joseph is tripped up. No call that time as Kelvin Nlovu takes the ball away. Here's Joshua Yemen. Yemen rolls it off to Leskowski, now Nlovu. One more touch, but one too many perhaps, as it is cleared away. Nobody there on the Nlovu cross. Here's Cortu Josiah trying to take possession back for Trinity. He taps it off to the left side, and Jorge Velasquez kicks it downfield. Joseph rolls it to the outside, trying to get the ball to Tyler Coy, but it's out of bounds. Here's Ruel Erastus Abilo, and he loses it. Throw in for the Trojans. But they'll make a substitution first as Corey Schliefer comes back into the game. Nate Michaelis heads out, and now the referee reaches for his yellow card again, and I think he's giving a card to Michaelis. Michaelis must have said something on his way out. He's been visibly upset about a number of calls during the second half of today's game. So I imagine he must have said something to the official on his way out of the game, and that's why he got the yellow card as he was being pulled. But it is Trinity International possession now. Yellow card shouldn't affect this game. Michaelis most likely done for the game anyway, as he is pulled out with just over 3 minutes to play. Here's Oropeza tapping to Yemen. Back towards Oropeza, but along the back line. Oropeza can't quite catch up to it. It's out for a goal kick. And Windsor calling for that ball quickly. Wants to get going once again. Windsor gives a big kick down across midfield. And Petangelo sends it the other way, all the way back to Eddie Windsor. Windsor again, working quickly, rolls it out in front of him. Starts dribbling it out in front of the box, and he shoots it down to the other box where another whistle blows. Play is stopped. Clock is stopped. 2 minutes, 39 seconds remaining. And we'll see what the call is here. A yellow card given to the bench, I think, for Trinity International. The line judge was the one, I think, who called for that and called the referee, Ross Dozak, over. Let him know what was going on over there. So the yellow card is given to Josiah Larson, the head coach of the Trojans. 2 minutes, 39 seconds remaining. St. Francis has the 1-0 lead, the same lead they had at the 1 minute mark of today's game. They scored their goal 50 seconds in. And now we're back underway as the Saints get to make the kick down to Eddie Windsor, who will let it roll out of bounds for a goal kick. And again, working quickly as the Trojans look for the late game-tying goal. Here comes Velasquez. That's Santiago Velasquez. Penizak pushes it down the right side. Brian Castillo steps in on defense. And there's Ruel Erastus Abilo pushing it back across midfield and onto the St. Francis attacking side, but knocked out of bounds. Trinity gets the throw in. Velasquez, Jorge Velasquez, working against a pair of defenders, and the ball is taken away. Down the field to Yemen. Yemen won't make a run at that ball. It's going a little bit too fast for him. Easily back into the hands of Eddie Windsor. A minute 35 to play in the game. Saints still up by a goal. Trojans get it. The midfield circle, Josiah Joseph working to the right side. Joseph pushes it ahead. On the run for that ball is Coy, but Carlos Ferrer-Cotto dives on top of it, and now he will take his time, sending it back downfield. Anytime Carlos Ferrer-Cotto puts his hands on the ball at this point, he can take 5 to 10 seconds off the clock, and then by kicking it down the field as far as he does, that's another essentially 10 to 15 seconds before they'd even be capable of mounting an attack back the other way. There's a cross to Erastus Abilo in the box. He takes a dribble, not trying to size it up for a shot, but the defense steps in front of him. Down on the ground, the whistle blows. Mario Gonzalez made the defensive stop. The clock is halted at 36 seconds. Good play by Mario Gonzalez, preventing Ruel Erastus Abilo from getting a shot. And the foul called against the Saints, and here comes the free kick for Trinity. They've got one last chance to tie it up here. 32 seconds on the clock. Their last opportunity to get an attack, and Morgan McKenzie sends it back to the defensive side for Penizek. Penizek pushes it ahead, down the middle of the field, past the outstretched head of Brian Castillo, but Santillo steps in. That's cleared by Erastus Abilo down to the opposite end of the field, and now they've got to work very quickly. Down to the final 10 seconds. Booted down the center of the field. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto steps up in the box, and it's knocked away by the defense towards the sideline. Out of the way by Mason Messina. That's going to do it for today's game. And the final score, St. Francis 1, Trinity International nothing. A thriller here in Joliet tonight. St. Francis scored in the first 50 seconds of the game, and then they were able to make that lone goal stand up as defense reigned the rest of the way. A very physical game, a lot of fouls going both ways, yellow cards galore in this one. But in the end, it was that first minute goal that was the key play in the entire game as the Saints made it stand up thanks to a stalwart defensive effort today from St. Francis. It was Ruel Erastus Abilo who scored that one goal. It came the first time the Saints touched the ball. Trinity International mounted an attack for about the first 40 seconds, and then the Saints took over from the defensive end. It was pushed ahead to Erastus Abilo. He made a nice run all on his own down to the left side and then fired one to the right side of the net past the outstretched arms of the goalkeeper, Eddie Windsor. And who knew at the time that would be the only goal of the game, but that's the way it turned out as things got very physical, very aggressive in the second half, and St. Francis was able to hold on. Our final totals here, St. Francis outshot Trinity 18-14. They took 7 shots on goal, 6 saves made by Eddie Windsor today. 3 shots on goal for Trinity. That means 3 saves in the shutout for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. It is the second shutout of the season for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. We saw 32 total fouls called in today's game, 18 against Trinity and 14 against St. Francis, and the majority of those in the second half. And that was kind of the main story of the second half, but the main story of the game was that St. Francis is able to snap their 3-game winless streak and improve to 2-2-1 in conference play. They're now 4-6-1 overall this year. Trinity International falls below 500. They are 4-5-2 for the season, and they fall to 1-3-2 in conference play, meaning St. Francis jumps over Trinity in the conference standings. So a nice win today, a big win for a St. Francis team that's starting to turn the corner, especially defensively, over the last few weeks. We'll see if they can keep on that roll over a couple of road games. They are at Olivet Nazarene on Tuesday, a 6:30 start time to start a quick 2-game road swing before they return home on Wednesday, October 17th, their next home game. That's a 7 o'clock start time against Roosevelt. Our final score today, St. Francis defeats Trinity International 1-0. Thanks to everybody for tuning in to the broadcast. Hopefully you enjoyed today's contest. Saints will head to the road for the next 2 and try to start a little winning streak. Until next time, though, this is Terry Bonadonna now signing off for the University of St. Francis. Have a good night.